So Nicole, one of the really exciting things about getting to work with you is your background. You have a
Yeah,
really unusual background versus somebody in your line of work. Can you tell us, just your 90-second overview?
sure. So I grew up in Silicon Valley and in the boom, like I think my dad helped build the first high rise in the 80s, right? So I just kept growing with Silicon Valley. And while I was a nonprofit and a teacher as an adult, I was working in an entrepreneurship program for kids. I was, all my friends that I went to high school with are in the big tech companies and the startups. And innovation is in my blood. And um and I left nonprofits in 2012. I left schools in 2012 because of how frustrated I was with the systems. And I have been experimenting ever since then how to bring not necessarily like business to nonprofits, but the innovation and the creativity into just a basic level of care in our communities. How do we put care people before profit and still have profit, right? Like how do we still balance those things? And I've just been exploring that, and it's led me to where I am today, running Maui Rapid Response, and another organization called Circular Hawaii.
Well, it's been amazing because you come at this with a tech background
Yeah.
and a analysis to prove what you're doing,
Yeah.
which is really inspiring. So thank you for all that you're doing. All right, Nicole, we have been friends for a long time. You are truly the Energizer Bunny of all things good. Today, we're going to talk about your work in Maui and really how that tentacles out to the whole US and globally, because you're always out front, you're always looking at what's most innovative. What are you most excited about now?
What am I most excited about now? Big picture is these the opportunity to use it's not new tech, right? It's just new ways of thinking of tech for as tools to support sharing, to support mutual aid, to support cooperation. Um, like we finally have things launched on multiple sectors, and so now we actually get to cooperate, and we actually get to be in relationship with, I don't even want to call them clients anymore. Like we are in relationship with these people that are currently in need. And we've also found ways for them to give, like for them to not feel like they're needy. Um, and we also get to prove, like with this platform, with the ESTHER platform, we get to prove that beyond a shadow of a doubt, that when people are in a situation where they need a lot, post fire, unsheltered homelessness. So everybody in this program has that, and they have some type of need from their community, and we get to prove that they're not out there spending their money on and things that people think that they do, and that really they're just buying food. Majority of people are simply buying food. Um, we had one mom, she was hapai, that means pregnant, during the fire. And it and she was also unsheltered. And it took us 5 months. It's because unsheltered are not considered fire survivors in like FEMA spaces. It took us 5 months to get her into with like the island's top caseworkers. There was three of the island's top caseworkers. Took us 5 months to get her into our normal shelter, not the fire survivor shelter. And she gave birth within a week of us getting her in. And then when she got this card for this program, this monthly program, she went with her baby and they filled her refrigerator, and she came back and said, I've never in my entire adult life had more than 4 things in a refrigerator, ever. And this is the first time I can fill it all the way up and be healthy for my baby and I. And we have the data to prove it, like instant data to prove, like I can look up and say like, oops, sorry, there's my dog agreeing. You know, I can just see that's where she went. She went to she actually went to the health food store and got really healthy things. So yeah, I'm just excited for that. All of that.
It's inspiring because working with the public and the private sector on funds that go for disaster or any kind of aid, you mentioned a topic about there being a presumption that maybe the money would be spent not in the way the donor wanted it spent. And the beauty of the data that you've talked about is proving that money matched the mission. So if you've got, for all these donors and foundations out there who are looking to donate to Nicole, because if your mission is food, the program makes sure that the money is spent on food, but it lets the survivor have the dignity to choose the food for their family or allergies. They can go pick up their prescription. There's
Right.
just, anyway, so how
Not so
has
it's
this helped
siloed.
your,
Yeah. Yeah, go
pardon?
ahead. It's not
What?
siloed. It's not food stamps, which is just, you know, produce and chips, you know, not and no hot food. They get to choose what they really need. It's beautiful.
Well,
Mhm.
and that it could be for housing if there's a
Right.
foundation out there that's their mission,
And
or
we have an example of that. We actually had a few organizations call us up. They actually just won a lawsuit that gave them money, like as a reparation, to go back to Hawaiian Kanaka towards their supporting their rent. And so we're actually able to we're going to put that money into this program, and the Kanaka, the Hawaiians that are in this program, get that bucket of money for their rent, right? So it's great. It's fabulous.
that is so cool. So
Mhm.
this program sits on the ESTHER platform. It's a Visa card, so it works everywhere that Visa works. How has this helped your team?
Uh, it has saved so much time. Um, because it's, you know, it's actually like it saved us with bookkeeping. We actually, our organization has a fiscal structure of being a nonprofit, but we run ourselves as a mutual aid network. And so we don't assume that there's a need. We actually are in the community and wait for the present moment when the need happens. And so that's a lot of Venmo transactions, and it's a lot of things just back and forth. This allows us to just have a card for the people that we're in relationship with, and they can look up when there's money on that. I mean, we're right now we're running a basic income program for fire survivors, but those cards are going to stay. And we're actually in talks with the county and potentially the governor to like give surplus taxes back through cards like this. Or especially in Maui County, potentially giving what we're calling Kama'aina like paybacks, because it's so expensive here. So I guess I'm actually still answering what I'm excited about, because there's so much to be excited about. With our team though, it gives us a tool that keeps us in compliance with our auditor and our bookkeeper, right? Like any auditors, any audits, and actually like it will help when we do our every 3-year audit that we do as a healthy organization. Like that work's already done for us. It has saved time with our case management staff, or we call them the Aloha Navigator staff. Because instead of saying that, a mom calling and saying, oh, I need my kid just grew out of diapers, I need a new size, they can just go and get it. And if for any reason their card is low and we have extra mutual aid funds, we can just load it up. And so it's really helped things to move at the pace of trust and relationship, while also moving at the pace of our current economy, which is quick. And when you're in the situations that our clients that are in, it's dire sometimes, right? Like a lot of them are already homeless, or they're on the verge of homelessness in Maui. 53% of our population lives at the ALICE line, which is a indicator that United Way uses a lot, which is one emergency or one extra cost. So one tire that needs to be replaced, it will put you at extreme risk of being homeless. Like you won't be able to pay your rent the next month. 53, more than half the population on Maui. So we need to move fast to respond, and it allows our team to do that while also, not having to have a million different tools going at once. And it really centers the person that we're working with. It centers their need and their personal agency to say, oh, I need diapers. Or, my kid just had new diapers. I don't have to go ask somebody to get a new bag, and then I have a whole nother bag over. Just go to the store. Sorry, my dog is on fire today. They can just go to the store, and that actually saves them time, because people in these situations too also become time dependent and time poor because they're going from agency to agency to get their basic needs met. This actually gives them the agency and the sovereignty to be able to do that on their own, on their time when it works for them.
You kind of answered at least part of the next question, which
Yeah.
was how is helping your clients, this ESTHER
Yeah.
Visa?
Yeah, I mean that's just it. Within our first 100 transactions, about, we got to look at those transactions, the aggregate data of those transactions immediately, which is great. It does our data reporting. So I'm going to go back and answer it. For me, as the administrator of our nonprofit, or our agency, I have to do way less grant reporting, like the prep for it, because it's just there. For our clients, this is what the first 100 transactions which happened over 1 hour of these cards going out. I believe 80-ish% went to groceries. The next line was a hot meal at a restaurant. The next line was storage, like a storage facility. And that one was really beautiful because a lot of our unsheltered folks, that's all they have is just, a $200 storage unit. And that's where they have their most precious things. And they're always backed up. And so a bunch of people just paid off like the 2 or 3 months that they were late on those storage units. So those were the top 100 transactions that we had. So we've had no like fraud yet. I do want to say we're planning for 5% fraud, just like a grocery store does, right? Like a grocery store plans for 5% broken or stolen items. So we will plan for that and have measures in place if it ever goes above that. But we haven't seen it at all yet, and we've been operating for several weeks now.
That is amazing. What advice would you have for other nonprofits that are seeking this efficiency and transformation for their own staff and for their clients?
Right. From a nonprofit administrator's standpoint, I think like the some of us just use checks because it's easier to control. We don't have to send out for the gift cards that are, you know, $100 max. I think sometimes we can get them at 250, but it's a constant you can't reload those Visa gift cards. And then you have to keep track of them and who got them, and then checks, like, you know, there's 3 people in that process of signing and the bookkeeper, and like, you know, like it's so time consuming. This is saves so much time. And also though backs you up. So you've got all the data, you've got all of the financials behind you, and you have all of your data for your program in front of you. And so it is really a no-brainer to move towards a system like this if you're giving out any type of financial aid and direct assistance to people. It's really, really a no-brainer. And I believe that, you know, where we haven't gotten yet is because I'm always looking forward. I'm always moving forward. I am the Energizer Bunny, you're right. Is adding other agencies in our care network, right? And the card can be accessed by multiple agencies, and based on the funds that we have come in, we can, you know, there's just a card for our people, our community. Each, like, I might end up with a card at one point because we all are in need at some point. And it really helps us weave together that trampoline for the bounce back. And in times of need, right? Like after a fire should be about, we should be setting people up for a bounce back, not for, oh man, I read this, really actually like heart-wrenching Facebook post by a fire survivor, yes, just yesterday, because they got a letter saying they have to move from the temporary permanent house that they were put in again with 48 hours notice, and this will be the 15th or 16th time they've had to move, and they were told that this house was the one that they would be in until they could move back into the home that they lived, or like that home was rebuilt. And then now there's all this thing, and this person though was really talking about like, you always tell us that we have to prove that we're a fire survivor over and over and over and over and over again. And then you have to prove that our income is like sufficient. Like, you know, now we have to pay our rent to FEMA, and it's 30% of our income, but they're not looking at our debt ratio. Like they're just looking at like and it's just a mess. It's messy, and it makes people feel bad. It makes people feel dependent. This does not. This is like, this is based off of trust. And you know, if I log on and see something that looks a little off, I just call up the client, or, you know, we have our team call up the client and say, what's going on? And you find out like, oh, they lost their job, you know, and or, you know, like a mom passed away and they had funeral costs, like they had all these unexpected costs. And hey babe, it's okay. So so it yeah, it's like a trifecta across the board, right? For post fire, for just hard times. It helps. It's a tool for our trampoline for the bounce back. It makes our life as nonprofit folks easier, because it hits the financial bucket, you know, like our financial background bucket for bookkeepers and such. And then it hits our time, that we like, it decreases our time needed to run these tools and gather our data. And then it does what everybody is so, how do I say this correctly? For the people that we are working with, it brings them agency rather than enabling them. It brings them personal agency. So that's like the trifecta of tools. And it's new, so people are going to be hesitant, right? And that's okay. So that's why you run pilot projects, to figure it out. Like, that's what we're doing. We just go small until we can go big, for our whole community. So it's really great.
Thank you very much. Your description on this ESTHER visa program has been amazing.